I don't know if you're going to like this video or not, but stick around, let me know. Let me know. But liking it somehow. It's almost as if we're on a social media platform where that's possible.
A better you starts today.
Oi, Katoomba, Melbourne, Ballarat and Brisbane. Guess who's coming to dinner? And by dinner I mean I'm doing a show. You really don't want to miss it. You really don't. It's mad. So saith me. Hey, been reading this book recently because I'm really obsessed with this idea of post-materialism. If you don't know what it is, you can check out my friendly Geordie's channel because I can't be bothered explaining that part. I think I actually do have to. Woe is me. I have to work so hard. I have to talk. So, allow me to do so. Here is a very interesting concept, yeah? Because we live in an age where most of the manufacturing has been shipped off to third world countries, so we don't have to do that anymore. Because we live in an age where living standards are so high that everybody, even if you're on the dole, you're living better than the King of England did with his, I've got a bunch of fleas on me, I do. I'm guessing you don't have fleas. And if you do have fleas, can you do something about that? That's probably step one. There's your little self-help tip. Off you go. Go down to your local dog bath, pay $10, get a little flea bath, sitting there being like, I can't afford it. Why? Because I spent all my money on sticks. All right, well, sit there with fleas then. Now listen to this. You there with your fleas and your marijuana, you are part of the elite class. Why? Why? Now this is very interesting because you're watching this video right now. Yeah. You're a success already. I seriously think this because of this one book that I read. I think it's called The Sum of Small Things. It's a really interesting book. But it's pretty much just talking about how the elite class has shifted over time. So, if we go back to 19th century, for instance, what was the elite class? You had to have a name. You had to have land titles. China. You had to open up China due to a bunch of opioid wars. And then you could get what I'm actually referring to here, which is China, the actual like teacups and stuff. There was a bunch of indicators that you were part of the, as they call it back then, the leisure class. You know what they call it now? How interesting is this? You know what the elite class is now? They call it the meritocratic class. And why do they call it the meritocratic class? Because they have noticed that there is a shift on, and when we're talking about high class here, we're not necessarily talking about money. Everybody immediately thinks, well, I don't have $1 billion, so I'm not part of the elites. That is one way of looking at the elites. And I suppose you can use that when you're talking about just the words elites. But when you're talking about an elite class, you're kind of talking about cultural attitudes. You're kind of talking about cultural capital. You're kind of talking about, I am able to walk into a David Jones and the chicks there are not going to be like, That's what I'm talking about. And I'm assuming that if you are watching this, you're part of it, because guess what one of the big indicators is? You'll never guess what I'm going to say. Self-help. That's right. If you read self-help, you are part of the elite class. There, I said it. Bam. Bam. According to one book. Kings, we're doing it. Pop some champagne if you can afford it, because it doesn't matter anymore, because that is not an indicator of elite class stuff. Maybe it is. That actually does sound like it would be something that's quite fancy. But again, if you think about something like, oh yeah, champagne, get out the champagne. Bogans can afford champagne now, easily. I bet you tradies earn a lot more than a lot of you out there. But if a tradie was walking around in the CBD, everyone would be looking at him, and everyone in their business suit would be like, get in the sewer, you little rat man. Come on, unblock my turds. That's what they would be thinking. The difference is, and the reason that I want to be talking about this on this self-help channel is because it does just open up so many doors. What is very, very important in this day and age is sort of the way that you carry yourself, you know, and you can't really fake that. That's something that is just pinged off and indicated immediately when you talk to anybody, yeah? So anyway, so for instance, if you hear an accent like this and things, you think like, yeah, Western Sydney. And again, they could be really rich because they could be a drug dealer or something more legitimate like a dodgy tradie. There's a bunch of other things that they could be doing that could be earning them a hell of a lot more money. That does not open them to what you have, which is the fact that the way, the very fact that you are into self-improvement, the very fact that you are into being as productive as you possibly can, the very fact that you're into things like, I'm imagining, being healthy, going to the gym. This is all indicators of the elite class now. That's all indicators of, I belong in one of the expensive, wanky suburbs. Isn't this a very interesting shift? So back in the day, it used to be land titles. So for instance, if you had the right family name back then, you could have been dirt poor, had no titles. Oh no, sorry, you still had the titles. And so as a result of that, you'd still be invited to the Queen's birthday. You'd still be offered all of these business opportunities. Didn't really matter. You had the name. This is how it has shifted over time. What were some other indicators of being part of the elite class back then? Doing nothing. That was a huge factor of being part of the elite. Sitting around and playing bridge all day. Like, if you read Pride and Prejudice, how much of it is just them sitting there being like, I don't want to play cards. It is improper for a lady to not want to play bridge. Now sit down and play bridge with your father. That was a big element of it. And then another part of it, this other man is hotter, but his title isn't as high as this other man who's ugly. What to do? These were indicators of the elite class back then. It was sitting around doing nothing. That was a big indicator. It was a flex. Yeah, I don't have to do shit. I don't have to toil my own land. That's what it was. Now, we're in this meritocratic age. What is part of the elite class? Well, really it seems to be much more focused on education. Way more focused on education. Have you ever noticed that if somebody ever says, like, I went to Harvard, you immediately go, It makes sense, right? Like, these are the new cultural indicators of it. In fact, it works the other way around now. If you are part of the elite class, you're working more than ever. You're constantly working. And you're working in a way that integrates fun into your life. You're one of these people that sort of, as opposed to having a work-life balance, they've integrated their work and life together, which is something that I'm always talking about. See, look at me. I'm whoever that guy was that, what was it, Pygmalion? I'm the Pygmalion guy. I'm teaching you how to be one of the big shots. It's really interesting. It is a very interesting point, which is that, look, you being into these things, just you reading self-help, just you reading in general, being widely read, these are all indicators of I am part of that new global elite. You can actually even see it when they're constantly talking about, like, when they do like the MAGA stuff and they're like, damn Democrat elite. What are they really saying by being like, Democrat elite? They're saying that they don't watch Fox News. That's what they're saying. They're saying that they read. Interesting, no? It's an amazing shift in society that you are a part of. Now, here is the very good indicators of this, and I am living proof of it. There is no way in the 19th century that I would ever have been one of those guys that sits around in a three-piece suit all day, sunbaking in Spain, being like, really should take off my three-piece suit, but that wouldn't be quite gentlemanly, would it? We live in an age now where anyone can enter that. Anyone can enter that if they educate themselves, they practice the basics of what this channel is constantly talking about, which is 1 hour of reading, 15 minutes of meditating minimum, going to the gym. It's amazing that I was just thinking about it while reading this. It's just like, this is the big factors. And you can't fake this. And you can notice it every time you do go to one of these elite suburbs now. When you're walking down the street, you will see a bunch of people walking out of the gym. You will see a bunch of people that are on their phones making deals. You'll see a bunch of people that are sitting around reading books. And also, a lot of people wasting their time on the iPhones. But generally, there is a way of these people carrying themselves. It is really like that kind of time is money attitude. And the thing is, once someone picks up on that from that elite class, what happens? Job opportunities. What else happens? The fact that you're just friends with these people. That's what also happens. So you're accessing this sort of node of attitudes of way to live. Now, obviously, I have a lot of issues with that because there is that managerial class that is taking over. But just note that this is the reality that we live in now. So the elite class used to be a bunch of landlords that sat around doing nothing. You can be a landlord in this day and age and not be part of this elite class. You can actually be quite ostracized from these people from being extremely wealthy. Have you ever noticed that? Actually, Donald Trump would be a very good example of this. Extremely rich man, but never really made it into high society. It was always just a joke in New York. Now, what did that do? Well, obviously it made him, but it also, like, he's lucky that he's just sort of very charismatic so that he could make up a bunch of reality TV deals and stuff. But if you go back and read a bunch of these things, look, yes, he was wealthy. Yes, the wealth did open up a lot of doors. Wealth always opens up a lot of doors. I am not knocking that, but I'm saying that there are other advantages in life. There are other advantages in life. And those things of doing those practices kind of puts you in that same class of people that also practice these things. And these are the people that sort of control the means of production these days, if you think about it. If you think about it, we have entered a managerial age. Like, society is just running quite automated at this point. And so you have a bunch of managers that are running things. So the rise of the bureaucrats. There is always this ebb and flow throughout history, if you notice, of what the elite is. And every time there is sort of like an empire that is forged, eventually the bureaucracy starts to take over. That's what we are in now. We are in a managerial age. And I'm telling you now, if you do not practice those basic steps, you're not part of it. Want to know some other basic steps of how to get someone in on some of this capital? I can tell you now, if you sign up to Jordan Shanks, that's a big way to get in on it. It really is. Because what do these people spend their money on? Education. That's what they do. Hey, don't shoot the messenger. Pay him. Sign up to Jordan Shanks for an extra 3 videos a week where I can get you to be more productive. I can get you to make you execute on the things that are going to get you to accomplish your dreams in life. That's what that channel is aimed at. This channel here. So make sure that you subscribe. I don't know why I said that channel. It's not the best advertisement for what should be the advertisement. But it's there. Whatever. Can you just sign up to one of those things? Look, the link's below.